If you're currently wondering about the consequences following the destruction of Roe v. Wade, be prepared for further implications. Clarence Thomas and like-minded conservatives have expressed their desire to strip away various rights that many Americans have enjoyed for years, possibly even decades. In a recent decision, Thomas joined the court's opinion, which correctly asserts that there is no constitutional right to abortion. The respondents invoked the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause, which guarantees that no state can deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. However, Thomas argues that the right to abortion is not a form of liberty protected by this clause. According to him, this right lacks historical roots, is not implicit in the concept of ordered liberty, and can be discarded based on a new interpretation of liberty. If this fundamental right can be eliminated, what other rights could be jeopardized? Thomas suggests reconsidering previous substantive due process precedents, such as Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. He claims that these decisions were demonstrably erroneous and it is the court's duty to correct this error. Therefore, he implies that other rights, including the right to purchase and use contraception, could be subject to legal restrictions. This encompasses various forms of contraception like birth control, condoms, IUDs, and other related items. The question arises, should these items be prohibited by law? And should individuals face imprisonment for attempting to obtain or use them? How about the laws regarding same-sex sexual activity? Until fairly recently, it was illegal in many states. Even after the conclusion of the Seinfeld era, they seem eager to return to that era. And what about the right of gay couples to marry? These are significant issues that they are willing to disrupt by tearing apart millions of marriages. And it's only the beginning. This is what Clarence Thomas casually mentioned while discussing a separate case. Imagine when conservative organizations like the Heritage Foundation, Republican senators, and pundits rally for the upcoming battles. What will the future look like, Kyla? I want to emphasize the conservative contradiction here, as they strip away rights and claim to promote freedom. How can they justify this? When you take away people's rights, it only gets worse. This is a crucial moment, and I want everyone to pay attention. Contrary to the notion that young people are apathetic, we are actively engaged in this issue. As someone who works for a youth organization, I've spoken to numerous young people who are deeply involved in this moment. We refuse to let our future slip away. Rest assured, we will fight passionately to protect our rights. It's frustrating to witness the contradiction of taking away rights while claiming to promote freedom. I've had enough of it. And Thomas, if you want to talk about infringing on people's freedoms, let's discuss individuals who break the law, like your wife. It's a valid point, considering glass houses. Farron, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Regarding the decision, figures like Alito and Kavanaugh assure us that they won't target those settled laws. Does that reassure you? Absolutely not. It's like the meme of the person who voted for the party that advocates leopards eating people's faces, saying they never thought the leopards would eat their own face. Here's what we need to do. It's clear that Clarence Thomas has made it known that they're coming for our remaining rights, and he'll add more to the list soon. So, let's fight fire with fire. First, we must eliminate the filibuster to make it easier to expand the Supreme Court. It won't be easy. But if legal precedents no longer matter in the Supreme Court, then let's work on overturning decisions like Citizens United, McCutcheon, and Heller, which have been detrimental. Let's adopt the same strategy as the Republicans. And I hope the Democrats understand that they'll have to borrow a few pages from their playbook to do so. Why was this even brought to the Supreme Court in the first place? It's because Republicans at the state level intentionally passed laws that they knew would face legal challenges. They wanted to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. Democrats need to do the same. They need a blue state to boldly ban corporate money from politics. Once a right-wing individual sues to overturn that law, that's when the process begins. But it won't mean anything if it ends up in this court. It needs to be sent to a court that has a substantial number of judges, 30 or more. I don't care how many. That's what we have to do. We have to fight fire with fire and play their game by their rules. Or else we will continue to lose. Kyla, we were discussing earlier how there's plenty of blame to go around for how we reached this point. This legal effort has been ongoing for decades. And it has recently intensified. While I understand that Twitter isn't representative of the real world, I've noticed numerous individuals on Twitter who, despite the Democrats being in power with control over both chambers of Congress and the White House, hold centrist Democrats responsible for not taking action to prevent this. They didn't do anything before or after the leak. However, these people's faith in centrist Democrats doesn't seem to have wavered at all. They firmly believe that the blame lies with Bernie voters from 6 years ago. It's unbelievable. I agree with Farron's proposal on how to fix this. And I believe we can do it without necessarily relying on those individuals. But it's astonishing that some still think that we just need to have more faith in people like Biden, Pelosi, and even Sinema. They believe that if we love them harder or convince Joe Manchin, we'll be able to regain the rights that have been stripped away. What are your thoughts? It's completely false, and I honestly want people to stop placing their trust in these centrist Democrats. They've had multiple opportunities to address this issue correctly. First and foremost, they need to take a strong stance and ensure that their party is united. The fact that figures like Manchin and Sinema, especially Manchin, have consistently voted against issues such as healthcare protection and voting rights is a clear indication that they are not interested in safeguarding the rights of the people. It's perplexing that despite their track record, some individuals still place their faith in these politicians. Even Nancy Pelosi supported anti-choice Democrats like Cuellar, which adds to the confusion. It's crucial to confront this mindset and make them realize the truth. However, reaching these individuals can be challenging, because they often prioritize their own interests and may not be directly affected by the consequences of regressive policies. Many of them exist within a bubble of affluent liberalism, disconnected from the realities faced by the majority. It will take a significant event or personal impact to shake them out of their complacency and make them understand the gravity of the situation. Until then, they may continue to prioritize their own comfort over the rights and well-being of others. It's crucial to keep raising awareness and pushing for change, even in the face of resistance and indifference.